Okay, so we had just learned how to do this sweet shortcut to dividing polynomials called synthetic division. But we can only do it sometimes when we are dividing by something like x minus 4. Okay, so we could do synthetic division using that. This problem says given that x minus 4 is a factor of, and then I have this cubic polynomial, rewrite that cubic polynomial as the product of two polynomials. Well, what does that mean that I have to do? I have to divide the x cubed minus 6x squared plus 5x plus 12 by x minus 4 so I can see what the other polynomial is that I have to multiply x minus 4 by. I have to see what the other factor is. So I'm going to go ahead and use synthetic division. This is a minus 4, so I'm going to change it to a plus 4 outside the box. Okay, across the top, am I missing anything? Nope. So just write down the coefficients. I got a 1, a negative 6, a 5, and a 12. Now, before I proceed on this, since x minus 4 is a factor of this, what should I get as a remainder? A 0. That's right. I think I heard somebody say it. All right. I'm going to bring the 1 straight down. 1. Multiply it times the 4. Minus 6 is negative 2 times the 4. Negative 8. Plus 5, negative 3, times the 4, negative 12. Add these together, I get 0. There's the remainder, just as anticipated. So this answer is, I divide a cube by an x, I get x squared minus 2x minus 3. Notice that the degree of the answer goes down by 1 each time, right? The reason why is because we're just dividing it by x. Essentially, so it's just subtracting 1 from the original degree. Whoa, I wasn't done with that. Okay, this means that I can write x cubed minus 6x squared plus 5x plus 12 as the product of x minus 4 times x squared minus 2x minus 3. What I've just done is I have factored that cubic polynomial. Of course, I already knew one of the factors that was given to me. Eventually, at some point in this school year in Algebra 2, we will learn how to do that from scratch. Nobody gives us the x minus 4. We just start it from scratch. It'll be fun. Okay, now, if you remember how to factor, you can continue to factor the second set of parentheses. So x minus 4, that's the first factor. I'll just bring it down. Other two, I would be multiplying something times something to get x squared. That's got to be an x and an x. And I have to be multiplying something else times something else to get negative 3. Well, that's got to be a 1 and a 3. And since they have to add up to negative 3, it's got to be negative 2. It's got to be a negative 3 and a positive 1. Now I've completely factored that thing. I'm not expecting you to be able to do that yet because that's what the next couple of lessons after this one is going to be about. It's about factoring. A whole bunch of different ways to factor. I know from experience you guys are going to initially start out thinking factoring, man, that is definitely an F word. But by the end of it, I think that you're going to have a lot of fun. You'll derive a lot of enjoyment out of it, a lot of pleasure. Okay. Last one, the volume of the solid is 3x cubed plus 8x squared minus 45x minus 50. Very realistic problem. Find an expression for the missing dimension. Okay, so if I've got volume was calculated by taking the length times the width times the height, right? And essentially I'm missing one of these. Let's just call that the length. So how would I get the length from this formula? Well, I just need to divide these over there into v. So the length would be equal to the volume divided by the width times the height. Okay, so I need to take this 3x cubed plus 8x squared minus 45x minus 50 and divide it by both of these things. Now I've got two things that I could do. I could go ahead and multiply those two things together and divide that answer into the 3x cubed thing, or I can divide them separately. I could divide it first by x plus 1, get an answer, and then divide that by x plus 5. That second one is what we're going to do because it's going to be faster. And since I'm dividing by x plus 1 and x plus 5, we can do this by synthetic division. So let's do this one first. It's a plus 1, so I'm going to put a negative 1 on the outside of the box. And now list out my coefficients. 3, 8, negative 45, and negative 50. Assuming I'm not missing anything, no. Okay. Bring down the 3 times the negative 1, negative 3, 5, negative 5, negative 50 times the negative 1, positive 50. That's a 0, remainder of 0. That's what we should have expected because these things should go in evenly. Now, this is pretty cool. I'm going to take this x plus 5 and I'm going to divide it into the answer here. So I can just keep going. Keep going on that same problem. I have to switch the sign, so it's going to be a minus 5 out here. Bring down the 3. 3 times the negative 5, negative 15. Add these up, negative 10. Multiply it, I get positive 50. And that's a 0, remainder of 0, which means that the missing length down here is 3x minus 10. That goes there. Okay, I just remembered that was not the last one, because there's one more. It's a clever bit of maneuvering, because when we talked about synthetic division, we said that you can only do synthetic division if you can, or if your divisor is like this, x plus or minus k. If it's not, you can't use synthetic division. But that's pretty much a big fat lie, because you can trick a problem into doing something like this, but you have to be very clever about it. You have to be very clever. So what I want you to try to do, I want you to try to see if you can figure this out on your own. I want you to see if you could go ahead and do this by long division. 6x to the 4th minus 11x cubed plus 14x squared minus 3x minus 1. You're going to divide that by 2x minus 1. Okay? Do it by long division. And see if you can figure out, could you have done this by synthetic division in some kind of way? So again, I want you to stop the video. Hey, I may not even put the answer in this video. Anyway, stop the video and see if you can do it yourself. Well, were you able to figure anything out? Well, I know that you at least did the long division, right? That's right here. So you should have got an answer of 3x cubed minus 4x squared plus 5x plus 1 when you did the long division. So watch this bit of cleverness. What I did, since 2x minus 1 is not of the form x plus or minus k, we need there to be a 1 out in front of that x, but there's a 2. So what I did is I pulled it out. It's called factoring. It's the distributive property backwards. I took the 2 out of it. Okay? And if I take the 2 out of it, I ask myself, like, whatever goes inside the parentheses, 2 times what gives me 2x? That's x. 2 times what gives me negative 1? That's negative a half. If I were to distribute this 2 back through the parentheses, I would get 2x minus 1. Okay? Well, the x minus a half, that is of the form x plus or minus k. I changed the sign of the 1/2 and I put a positive 1/2 out there. Okay, and then write down the coefficients, do the synthetic division, but when I do, look at my answer. It is 6x cubed minus 8x squared plus 10x plus 2. And if I look at my answer here, it's not what I have. Look at that answer, the one in red versus the one in blue. What do you notice about them? One in blue, they're all twice as big as they need to be. The reason why is because all I have divided by is x minus a half. What I still need to divide by is this 2 that's right out front that I factored out of that 2x minus 1. So if I just divide this by 2, I get my answer of 3x cubed minus 4x squared plus 5x plus 1. And I have just tricked math into doing something it's not supposed to do. Right? Okay, so that's pretty clever. Maybe you'll see that again on your challenge problems, maybe even on your quiz. I don't know. Okay, so that concludes our lesson on dividing polynomials using either long division or synthetic division. And here's a little cartoon for you to enjoy. Yeah, long division is a very important life skill. Okay, so your assignment, you know the routine. Well, Rowan's asking a pretty significant question there. Does this have something to do with the factor and remainder theorems? Well, as a matter of fact, it does. But we won't know that probably until maybe sometime in January. Something to look forward to. In the meantime, I'll see you guys in class.